Well, it's Tuesday the 29th. This is the final day on Fraser, with a long drive to the southern end hook point and onto the barge at around 4, we reckon. Low tide's at 2:30, so we should have a really good run. But first it's high tide, and the call of champagne pools is beckoning. Now these pools are given the name because at high tide the waves push water over the unusually pitted rocks and form millions of tiny bubbles in 2 deep pools on the lee side. Bob recalls Myrtle saying it's like bathing in champagne. Oh, she'd know, I guess. I'll just have to take a word for it. It's beyond my pay grade, I can tell you. Anyhow, the pools are only about 10 kilometres away, but the track is rough, boggy, hot, fine sand that weaves in and out of the bush. It'll be about an hour before we're there. Breakfast and pack up becomes the silent order, and the two of us move to a now finely tuned choreographed routine like dancers on a stage. No, get me wrong, not tutus and tights. Come on, fair crack of the whip. But here we are, 2 experienced campers working as one against all that nature can throw of us. Then it rains. The camping gods are just trying to mess with us, Bob says. And we soldier on. Myrtle will have to dry out our tents before she stores them away when we get home, quips Bob, with an air of lordship. God, once again, I reckon the lad doesn't have enough health insurance to cover the pain he's going to receive when he tries to make that demand on Myrtle. My goodness. Moving on. Anyhow, up to the shop at Orchard Point to fuel up at $2.30 a litre. We only add 30 litres, but the freezer with the double choc caramel magnum gets us, and we indulge. There's supposed to be ice creams, but by the time they pack all that chocolate and caramel, there's only a slither of ice cream on the stick. We don't complain. Anyhow, we're the first to arrive there at the Champagne Pools, usually empty. Unusually empty car park, but we're right on high tide, and it's just we grab our camera and our sunscreen and everything, and down the hot boardwalk we go, and the place is to ourselves. But then within 10 minutes the place is swarming with busloads of young backpackers from a dozen different language groups. Some dressed and others, well, let's just say they're likely to be sunburned in unusual places. Bob and I probably the only ones over 40, admittedly a little over, but we noticeable by the fact that we're the only ones on our hands and knees to get over the small rocks close to the shore without stumbling. Anyhow, an hour later we're grinding out of the soft sand of Indian Heads and point south toward the bakery at Eurong for a familiar hot pie. We glide past Undubra and Cathedral and the pinnacles with their majestic spires of coloured sands of reds and whites, yellows, blacks and browns. We also dodge the tourists at the rusting Mahino Wreck and the Eli Creek and Happy Valley and Yidney Rocks and the walking track at Lake Wabi, and a commotion's up on the beach just ahead of us, and it turns out to be a car and a caravan being towed by 3 four-wheelers that are all snatch-strapped together, huffing and puffing to get the van pulled out of the sand at the beach exit to Eurong. And Bob and I ponder, in fact, why anyone would attempt to haul a large van up through the 200 metres of very soft sand, because there's nowhere to go from Eurong except miles and miles of more soft sand bush track. And believe me, we spent the last few days grinding along them with low pressure tyres, constant 4-wheel drive, low ratios, traction off, and occasionally diff lock. Oh well, we wait for a few minutes and all the gung-ho macho guys have the monster tamed and out of the boggy sand, and as they walk around with their trophy, with their egos pumped and chests out, congratulating themselves, we slam the old cruiser into D for drive, kick the horses, and all 4 wheels throw a plume of hot sand in the air as we power around the spectators and head up the access road to our favourite island bakery, the only one I might add, for a pepper steak pie. That's how it's done, says Bob. Now he's strutting around with all his tail feathers up. Oh, goodness sakes, get the man a pie before he starts signing autographs. Anyhow, an hour later we're back on the beach, encountering the tag-along tourists. These usually consist of about 3 or 4 vehicles, all packed full of young people, and following a lead vehicle, all painted in the same colours of the operator, and all under instructions to keep a tight line as they cruise along at about 60 kilometres an hour. Now for a bit of fun, we catch up and join in on the end of this daisy chain. Anyhow, the lead driver decides he's had enough of this mug following his group, so he slows right down, steers the Caterpillar towards the edge of the surf. Bob takes the hint and accelerates past on the right, and we smile and wave as we glide by and continue on towards the common destination of all southbound traffic, the barge at Hook Point. Lining up on the beach at Hook Point, Bob says, 4 o'clock, right on time. Oh no. The old schedule manager is back on duty. Anyhow, half an hour later, we are lumbering along the hard black sand. This is otherwise known as bitumen. And with low pressure tyres, it's to be fraught with danger of rolling a tyre off. Anyhow, without a mishap, we make the 10 or so kilometres to Rainbow Beach Servo, pump up the tyres, fill the tank, cruise down the Bruce to a real hot shower and food at Bob and Myrtle's place. And all's good. Great on stuff.